Hey everybody, and welcome to another lecture with Coding with Roby. In this lecture, we'll be creating query parameters to go with our APIs. And now, query parameters are a set of key value pairs that go after question marks within an API URL, which help add specific variables to API requests that can be used within the function that the API is calling. To get an idea of how query parameters work, let's create one. Now, this read all books. Now, if we remember this read all books API, if we open up our browser and we say try it out, it returns all 5 books that we currently have in our books dictionary. But let's add some query parameters to this read all books function. I'm going to create a parameter called skip book. So when we return all the books, we won't include that book. And I'm going to make it have a default value of book 3. So let's start by creating the variable in the parameter of skip underscore book, which is of type string, which is equal to quotation marks of book underscore 3. And now when we return the books, we want to create a new variable called new books, which is equal to books.copy, and then return the new books after deleting that skip book. So let's go ahead and create a new variable called new books, which is equal to books.copy. And now let's delete the new books and at the location of skip book, which is book underscore 3, and then now let's return new books. If we save our new function and we open up the browser once more and we refresh and call this again, we can see that the skip book is starting at book 3. If we say execute, we can see that book 3 is completely gone. Now, an issue that we see here is when we come back up and just say skip book and we have nothing added to the query, our call will automatically remove book 3. So as we can see, that skip book is going to be equal to book 3. If we come back up here and change it to book 4 and we execute, we can see that now book 4 is gone as it replaces book 3. However, what if we don't want a default value? Well, we can make this a non-default value by backing out and just removing the end value of skip book. If we save this now and we go back to our browser and we refresh and we call this, we can see that skip book is now required. So now we must pass in a book that's going to be removed. So when we type in book 1, we can see that book 1 is gone. If we type in book 2, we can see book 2 is gone. So one of the most powerful parts of the query parameter is that we can make it optional. So the way we can make it optional is by typing out in front of the type description the optional command and then wrapping the string within brackets. We can now import this optional call using the typing.optional, which will automatically import optional from typing. So the first thing we can do now is check to see if skip book has a value. So we can say if skip book, if the skip book does have a value, then we want to do this function that's inside. If skip book is false and has no values, then let's just return the normal books. And one more thing we need to do up in this parameter is make it equal to none if nothing is passed in. When you make it equal to none, FastAPI knows automatically that this is going to be an optional call. However, FastAPI still does all the normal data parsing and validation that path parameters would normally have. Let's now go back up to here. Let's refresh the screen. And we can now see that skip book is no longer required. If we don't type anything in and we execute the call, we're going to get all 5 books. However, if we type in book 2, we're going to get book 2 removed from the list. This is an example of how query parameters work, and we can see that query parameters are happening after the question mark. They're not being a path parameter that comes right after some type of API call, but they get separated after a question mark. This wraps up the lecture on query parameters, and I will see you in the next video.